Good afternoon, everyone. So, just want to say thank you for being here, and I am very excited to share how powerful mindfulness can be to all of you. And it's a very simple practice that you can incorporate into your daily life. And I will be showing you all how to do it. But first, I'd like to share a little story on how mindfulness became part of my life and in my transition from being a Marine, combat veteran with 2 tours in Iraq to now occupational therapist, civilian, and the transition it took to get me here. So I was in Iraq during the initial invasion in 2003, and then 8 months later I was back in Iraq in Fallujah for the Battle of Fallujah. As you might all know, that was probably one of the most intense battles since Vietnam, where we experienced daily firefights, attacks for a period of about 8 months. So interestingly enough, after your tour of duty, they fly you back instantly. So you go from being in a war zone to being in sunny Southern California in a matter of about 13 hours. So as you can imagine, your brain and body just doesn't shut down and get rid of all the stuff you've experienced. So it took some self-awareness and some inventory of my stress levels, of my behaviors, of seeking adrenaline, of taking risks. And as Dr. Sater mentioned earlier, men we tend to take more risks than women. But when you've experienced something like war and you come back, you tend to take even more risk because that's what your body's used to. It's almost used to that adrenaline. So as I started to just dig deep and really take self-awareness into my adrenaline-seeking behaviors and difficulties with managing my stressors, a lot of patterns started to come into play with mindfulness, with yoga, with stress reduction techniques to heal the body and brain from stress, from exposure to traumatic events. So through my research, I started to put this into practice. And I was skeptical. I was. What's this meditation? What is this mindfulness going to do for me? And I can sit here and stand here today and tell you that it's changed my life completely for the better. I started to reduce my blood pressure markers. When I would go for my yearly physical, my doctor was impressed. He said, wow, your blood pressure has dropped significantly. What have you been doing? And I said, I've been doing yoga and mindfulness. And through mindfulness and yoga, it kind of spreads into other areas of your life. So you start to really take inventory on what you eat and how you eat, how much you exercise, how you respond to certain stressors, financial stressors that we all deal with, relationship stressors that we all deal with, just being a human being, right? We have stressors in our lives, and how we respond to those stressors is the most important part. And this is where mindfulness comes in. Just in that moment, you can notice the body in a stress response and activate what they call the relaxation response. And I will teach all of you how to activate your relaxation response on demand through mindfulness. And that's what it's all about. But first there has to be awareness of how stress affects your body. So there's a few things that happen. So let me first begin by just defining what mindfulness is and what it's all about. It's essentially just being present in this moment, no matter what's happening. You may be calm right now, or you may be thinking about what you have to do later, or you want to watch the highlights of the game, or you have a bill to pay, or you have to work on Monday, right? And just noticing your mind wandering and thinking about all these things can cause certain many stress responses in our body and in our mind. So bringing your attention back to the moment and noticing yourself drifting off can be a helpful way to be calm with whatever arises in the moment, no matter what's going on. So it involves observing our thoughts, as I mentioned, and our emotions, and how stressors affect our body with the increased heart rate, the increased blood pressure, the shallow breathing that happens systemically. Taking awareness and notice of this and then saying, in this moment, I can take a deep breath and activate this relaxation response. So it's a way of befriending ourselves no matter what's happening, because oftentimes we have uncomfortable experiences and we want them to go away. So we may gravitate towards something that may numb it or something that may help it just dissipate faster. But there's a way to naturally be with whatever's arising. And with that, when you sit with discomfort, it naturally passes. So no longer do we have to reach for anything to numb these uncomfortable feelings. We can do it through mindfulness. Has anyone here heard of Viktor Frankl? Okay, couple people. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist in a concentration camp in Auschwitz, and he was a prisoner there, but he was also a psychiatrist, and he would help the prisoners cope with being prisoners in concentration camps. And he found a lot of meaning and purpose, and really taught the prisoners there about staying in the moment, because this maybe one day will pass, and why make it harder on yourself while you're here? And he had a chance to leave that concentration camp, and he made a conscious choice to stay there and help his fellow prisoners because he found so much meaning and purpose in what he did. And this quote is from Viktor Frankl saying, between stimulus and response, there is space, and that's where mindfulness comes in. In that space, we have a choice and the power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So this, in a nutshell, is what mindfulness is all about. No matter what happens in our life, we have a choice to respond in a healthy way. So why mindfulness, and why mindfulness for men? So as you see here, the leading causes of death in men, heart disease, we learned about that, is the number one. Lower respiratory disease is number 3. Accidents, 4th. And intentional self-harm, which people like to kind of turn a blind eye to and not want to really hear the real powerful truth behind mental illness in our country. The 10th leading cause of death is suicide, intentional self-harm. So all of these have a common theme, which the underlying issue is oftentimes stress and inability to cope with stress. So oftentimes we treat the symptoms of stress, heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes. But there's a way to live a healthier life in addressing the stress before it becomes an issue. So you may be aware of the warning signs of stress, but some of these may be new to you. So I'll go over the warning signs of stress, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, but these are important ones to keep in mind. Change in appetite, eating more or less than normal, mood swings. Through my research, I found that erectile dysfunction is present in 20% of all cases. They're linked to stress. So 20% of all cases are stress-related when it comes to erectile dysfunction. Low self-esteem, feeling tense or anxious most of the day, right? Tense muscles can cause pain as well. So if you suffer from chronic pain in certain areas such as your neck, your shoulders, your lower back, it could be an issue related to stress and tense muscles. Poor memory or forgetfulness. There was a gentleman earlier that mentioned, I'm starting to lose it mentally. But oftentimes, if you are under a lot of stress, you may feel like you're starting to lose it mentally because your cognition suffers. Stress hormones cloud our judgment and our memory and our cognition. Any excessive drinking or drug use, low energy. So if you're constantly feeling fatigued, you don't know where it's coming from. It could be stress is taxing your adrenal system and your body. And any sort of out-of-character behaviors and losing interest in things you usually enjoy. These are all important to just take inventory of and to manage if they are present, or maybe ask for help if you feel like they're overwhelming. So these are just the warning signs that we need to keep in mind. So inviting clarity to the present moment, reducing your stress on demand. We learn to give our body what it needs. Dr. Siddhartha mentioned earlier proprioception, which is one of the 7 senses that we're now starting to learn more about. So we have the 5 senses we all know about. We have proprioception, and then the 7th is interoception. Now, interoception is our awareness of what's going on within our body and our mind in any given moment. Am I thirsty? Do I need to drink more water? Do I feel hungry? I need to give myself some fuel. My heart is pounding. Oh, I must be stressed. I feel tense. I must be stressed. Interoception, knowing what's happening within your body and mind. That's the 7th sense. The wandering mind, it's exhausting. So they've done brain scans, and on average, human beings have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day. And they're not all positive oftentimes. So through mindfulness, we can bring ourselves to the present moment, give ourselves what we need and what's most healthy, and limit the wandering mind. So you may have started to hear more about mindfulness recently because it has gone mainstream. It's been around for thousands of years. It's not tied, I do want to mention this, it's a secular, it's secular, it's now in medicine. It's not tied to any religion or dogma. We see it in schools, we see it in the military. The Marine Corps, Navy SEALs are now starting to teach mindfulness to their soldiers, their midshipmen, their Marines. So really it's everywhere. It's in hospitals. I've been lucky enough to start a mindfulness-based curriculum at my program, at the Partial Hospital program at Cape Cod Healthcare. I also once a week do a stress management class at the cardiac rehab program at Cape Cod Hospital, where I teach stress reduction through mindfulness, and with a lot of great positive results because of it. I always get the comments at the end of class, like, I've started to practice more mindfulness or meditate more, and reaping the benefits. They really have shown that they can take control of their stress levels and live a healthier overall life. So these are just some of the benefits and the most important ones that really pertain to all of you here when it comes to putting this into practice. And some of these benefits you can notice almost instantly. So we have decreased anxiety and depression symptoms, improved cognitive functioning. So through lowering of those stress hormones, we find that our cognition tends to work better. Decreased levels of cortisol and adrenaline. Those are the stress hormones that get released when we have a stress response. Decreased muscle tension, and we see less chronic pain, less physical pain, the less our muscles are tense. And it's been shown to help reduce physical pain, improve sleep quality, and also emotional intelligence. And interoception is tied to emotional intelligence. Again, being mindful of what's happening in our mind and body in any given moment. So I know where you're thinking, this sounds great, but how do I incorporate it into my daily life? And there's a couple of simple ways. So we have the formal practice, and you can do this through meditation. And meditation, all it is the formal practice of mindfulness itself. It's sitting somewhere, maybe walking, or maybe lying down and focusing just on the breath, anchoring yourself to the breath, and with that you will see the benefits that I just mentioned. You can also participate in yoga, Tai Chi, chair yoga, or any form of movement meditations that they have available locally and nationally. So those are the formal practices. Informal practices is your everyday life. Someone cuts you off in traffic. There may be a stress response. Now, are you going to carry that into the rest of your day, or are you going to let that go in that moment and take a breath and say, you know what, maybe that person was on their way to the hospital because their loved one is in the ICU and they need to get there before I need to get to where I go. Maybe not, maybe yes, but in the moment that can help you kind of just get rid of that stress response, let it go. Informal practice, while you're walking, while you're golfing, while you're fishing, while you're doing anything in life, showering, are you living in your mind constantly, living in the future or the past, or are you in the present moment, enjoying that moment? Because it's really all we have. Sometimes we're so caught up here, we forget what's going on in the now, and we find that they've done studies, and they ask people, what are you doing, what are you thinking about, and how do you feel? And what they found was fascinating. No matter what people were doing, if they were mind wandering, if they were thinking, even if they were thinking about something positive, they tended to report less satisfaction in that moment. But if they were in the present moment, enjoying what they were doing in the now, they responded with more positive emotions and positive life satisfaction. The way we communicate, listening has become a thing of the past. I mean, you see it everywhere in our society. It's like people are just caught up in their mind, waiting for their turn to speak instead of really listening and being in that moment. So mindful listening is being present, and your focus is on the person, and you're listening with non-judgment, which is very important. Our mind tends to judge things as good or bad, or we start to make up stories. Got to catch ourselves doing it, and then bring our attention back to that moment. We all do it. We just have to catch ourselves. And then mindful speech. When we speak mindfully with kindness, truth, respect, and compassion, not from a place of insecurity or maybe past traumas, right? So that can help. Speaking without fears, getting in the way of the message we are trying to convey. Very important. So 3 easy steps to mindfulness in your daily life. I like to say start with 5 minutes per day. Just start with 5 minutes when you first wake up in the morning. Instead of reaching maybe for the phone or your computer or email or your to-do list, just take that time to just be and take a few deep breaths and start your day in a more relaxed, calm state. So you can do it lying down, seated, or walking, tuning into the present moment, the breath. And when the mind wanders, just recognize it's happening and then bring your attention back to the present moment, body sensations and breath. So if you start with 5 minutes per day, I'm not going to guarantee your life will change, but your life will change for the better. But it's all about practicing. So 5 minutes a day is better than 30 minutes once a week. So just like exercise, it's a cognitive exercise. We have the physical portion down. We went over all the importance of physical exercise. This is cognitive exercise. So the more you do it, the better the results, and the more change you will see in your life, stress-wise, physical, and emotional. And then, as you get more in tune with it, you start with 5 minutes a day, maybe work up to 20, 25 minutes. That's where you really get the full effect. So as Sharon Salzberg said, mindfulness isn't difficult. We just need to remember to do it, just pretty much like anything else. So these are my personal insights gained from practicing, and I shared a little bit of my story earlier, coming back as a young combat veteran, trying to integrate back into society. This helped me tremendously, and these are some of just the personal insights I've gained. Knowing that thoughts and emotions are temporary, and they do not define our character. Inner peace and happiness does not come from outside of us. If I get that house, the car, or this one thing, or more money, it comes from within. So we have to always remember that. Self-awareness, we talked about interoception, just giving your body what it needs. And a breath and a moment or two of silence can really make a difference in our decision making and our overall health. And we have some scientific research because they've done a lot of studies through this. So they found many, many benefits with practice and also physical changes in the brain. So in this first research study, they found that mindfulness decreases aggression in men by promoting greater cognitive flexibility. So just being more flexible with our responses and our thoughts and our emotions. They gain self-awareness, which really is what it's all about. And in this study, men tended to respond in a more calculated, healthier way to threatening information. And then in this study, in 2007, they found that mindfulness improved marriages and relationships. And this was indicated by the attentiveness and awareness of both the present moment needs of the individual and of their partners. So you'll be in tune not only more with yourself, but with your partner. This next study, they took a cohort of combat veterans and did pre and post brain scans on their predominantly zeroed in on the amygdala, which is the fight or flight center of the brain, and they found less activation of the amygdala after a 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course. So physical changes in the amygdala, less matter in the amygdala, less activation of the amygdala after mindfulness. And in this next study, in 2015 out of UCLA, they found that age-related gray matter decline was significantly reduced in those who meditate compared to the control group who did not. So you can keep dementia at bay the more you practice. So last time I did this, there was a very positive response of people asking, where can I find groups to practice, or how can I really incorporate this into my life outside of my own home. So these are some local resources available on the Cape that have mindfulness available. So senior centers, they offer yoga, chair yoga classes, and Tai Chi. Basically, they're mindfulness movement exercises that incorporate the body and the mind. So Calmer Choice, which is a nonprofit out of locally here, they teach school-age children mindfulness, and now they're starting to look into community-based mindfulness teachings. So they will be soon in senior centers around the Cape and different areas. So just stand by with that. There are yoga studios. So Power Yoga of Cape Cod has meditation and mindfulness classes on Sundays in Harwich, at their Harwich location. You can also do this all online if you don't feel like leaving your home. So the UMass School of Medicine Center for Mindfulness has online mindfulness-based stress reduction courses available as well. And some insurances may actually pay for some of this. So just look into that. The UMass School of Medicine has it all on their website. There's also smartphone applications and online resources if you want to begin to practice in a more guided manner. We have the Calm app for iPhone and Android. Insight Timer is a really good one with thousands of different guided meditations and mindfulness exercises. And we have good old handy-dandy YouTube where you can find whatever you'd like, including free mindfulness, yoga, and meditation videos for all levels and tastes. So, I'd like to invite you all to practice for a few minutes with me and reap the benefits of mindfulness. Yes, thank you. And then I'll take questions afterwards. Okay, first things first, feet flat on the floor. You want to sit in a erect and dignified posture. Back is straight, but not rigid, so you want to still be relaxed. Shoulders are relaxed. The jaw is relaxed, so if your jaw's clenched, just put a little separation in between your teeth. Hands can rest gently on your knees or resting on your side. And you may close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or keep them open, whatever's best. So I will guide you through this practice. All you have to do is stay in the present moment, anchoring to the breath and the body. So let's take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Fill the belly all the way up. Slowly exhale. Throughout the practice, that will be your anchor. So when the mind wanders, just notice that it's happening. If you start to look ahead or think about the past, just notice it without judging, and then bring your attention back to the breath. So I'm going to lead you through a relaxing body scan mindfulness exercise, so just follow along. As we bring awareness to different parts of the body, see if you can gently relax any areas of tension that you may notice throughout. So bring your awareness to the top of your head, to the temples, the forehead, your cheeks, gently relaxing any areas that you may notice that are tense. You may not notice anything at all, and that's okay. Now bring your awareness down to your jaw, letting your jaw relax and soften. The back of your neck, and your shoulders, letting your shoulders fall heavy into your body. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale. Breathing in relaxation and letting go of any tension or stress with every breath that you take. Now bring gentle awareness to the upper back, noticing whatever's here. And if you notice any tension, see if you can gently relax it away. Now bring awareness to the top of your arms, your biceps and triceps, allowing them to gently relax and soften down to your forearms, your hands and fingers, allowing them to gently relax. Breathing deeply in through your nose and slowly exhaling through your mouth or through your nose, releasing any tension or stress with every breath. Now bring awareness to your chest and torso. See what you notice here. And then try to gently relax that area. Now bring an awareness to your hips and your glutes, allowing them to gently relax. And if you notice any tension here, see if you can send a breath there and release tension with every breath you take. Breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension and stress with every breath. Now bringing our awareness down to our quads, and hamstrings, allowing them to relax and soften. All the way down to our calves and our shins, our ankles, bringing awareness to the feet, allowing the feet to gently relax, and your toes. Now bring awareness to your entire body as it sits in your chair, fully relaxed, in the moment, breathing in relaxation with every breath, and breathing out tension and stress. And when you're ready, start to bring your full awareness back to the room. You can slowly bring small movements to your fingers, your toes, and gently open your eyes if they're closed. And give yourselves credit for participating in the brief mindfulness exercise. Thank you.